It's day 76 of the Atlantic hurricane season, day 94 in the Eastern Pacific. It's August the 15th and we currently have quite a few systems active at the moment. I believe there's 5 or 6 invests, 90C still going in the Central Pacific, 92E still going as well into the Central Pacific now, and the 2 invests in the Atlantic which are likely to form in the next 24 hours, 92L in the Caribbean and 93L near the African coast, near the Cape Verde Islands as a matter of fact. We also have Utor, the final few hours probably of the storm's classification as a tropical storm over land in China at this time. That's the current situation with Utor, and the 2 invests as well in Western Pacific, 98W which is just south of the Japanese islands, and 99W which is further out to sea in the Western Pacific. There's the map, the overview. And this is the Atlantic Ocean. You can see the 2 invests here, 92L which is in the Caribbean, heading towards the west-northwest, will probably move over the Yucatan Peninsula whether it forms or not, and 93L as well which is moving past the Cape Verde Islands at the moment towards the central Atlantic, where it will move west-northwest over the next few days. The Indian Ocean is fairly quiet once more. We did have that Invest 90S which has really capitulated now. There's nothing left of it. It wasn't likely to form in the first place, but a little rumbling here and there we can see in the Indian Ocean. That's the season warming up towards the end of the year, you'll see, particularly in the Indian Ocean there. The sea surface temperatures then at the moment in the Eastern Pacific, you can see warm waters here towards the central area of the Eastern Pacific, around 5 to 10 degrees north in particular the warmest waters are. Around the Mexican coast as well, warm waters here. And in the Western Pacific as well, you can see temperatures of around 30 degrees or above, generally east of the Philippines. In the South China Sea, a little bit cooler, but still conducive for development. Certainly interesting to see how those invests will do. The Atlantic waters are also warm as well, where those current invests are. There is no graphic for that one at this time, but I'll have that one for the next update. So this is Tropical Storm Utor. A wind speed at the moment is a maximum of 65 miles per hour. It may be lower than that at this time. The pressure is 982 millibars. Position is 22.3 degrees north, 110.7 degrees east. It's inland right now and is weakening. Will likely be a tropical depression very soon and will eventually dissipate over Guangdong province in China. And we currently have a red typhoon warning still in effect for Guangdong, Hainan and Guangxi provinces at the moment in China, and we have some signal warnings in effect as well still for Macau, a signal 3 warning in effect for Macau at this time, and a signal 1 standby warning in effect for Hong Kong at this time as well. So with the storm moving fairly slowly over that area as well towards the northwest, there may be some flooding we may see in China, particularly because it's a broad storm as well. Could produce some widespread flooding in the next few days. So let's take a look at the wind shear map, then the invests which are located to the east of Taiwan, to the south of the Japanese islands. There's currently high shear just east of Taiwan, you can see there, which may be abating, especially towards the north near the Japanese coast. So more conducive conditions developing where those areas of interest are located. You can see them there on this moisture map as well, just to the southeast rather, of the Ryukyu Islands in Japan and Taiwan as well, which may form into storms as time goes on. Certainly a moist environment around them as well. This is Invest 92LN in the Atlantic. Winds currently 35 miles per hour, 1009 millibars. Position 17.8 degrees north, 84.6 degrees west, and is likely to become a storm in the next 48 hours or so. An 70% chance on this one, as a matter of fact, for the next 48 hours as of midnight UTC this morning, August the 15th. And the storm is expected to move west-northwest through the Yucatan Peninsula and will likely attain tropical storm status as it moves out over the Gulf of Mexico, and then it's really anyone's call at this point as to where it eventually makes landfall, but the Gulf Coast states should definitely be watching out for that one. Invest 93L is also located just south of the Cape Verde Islands. Winds currently 30 miles per hour, pressure is 1008 millibars. This one has an 80% chance of development as of midnight UTC this morning, and is likely to become a tropical storm as it moves out to the central Atlantic. Could have a run at hurricane status as well as it moves out to sea through the central Atlantic. Same too for 92L as a matter of fact as well, but some models disagree and differ with how strong they expect the storm to be, so I put tropical storm on both of those ones for this at the moment. So let's take a look at the shear map. You can see here towards the central Atlantic, low shear levels at the moment. 93L certainly has a decent run in terms of shear. 92L is a little bit different of a story. You can see there high shear towards the Yucatan Peninsula, in between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba, which could interfere with any development that occurs. And this is the moisture level. You can see dry air over in the central to northern Atlantic, but there is a window of opportunity for 93L, and dry air is not too much of a concern for 92L in the Caribbean. So this is the Western Pacific overview of the past 24 hours. You can see how Utor has made landfall over the past 24 hours in China, just east of the of Hainan, and just west of Hong Kong and Macau in Guangdong province. And there's that new system just southeast of Taiwan, which is currently trying to develop, though probably not much success at the moment, but that may change as time goes on. Certainly the models are predicting that, more on that very shortly. This is the floater image of Utor. Then as it made landfall, you can see still quite intense rain bands towards the south of the storm, south of the centre of the storm that is, which could move over the Chinese coastline very soon and cause some more heavy rain, which could lead to flooding in that region. Invest 92L, which is located just north of Honduras, to the southwest of the Cayman Islands, and to the east of the Yucatan Peninsula, slowly drifting towards the west-northwest at this time. Not particularly organised, but it's certainly developing some spiral banding perhaps, and could develop into a tropical depression very soon. Certainly looking favourable for that one at the moment. Invest 93L, you can see it's trying to get its act together as well to the south of the Cape Verde Islands. You can see the coast of Africa off to the right hand side of that image. Moving towards the west at the moment, a little bit quicker than 92L is moving, and that's likely to move out into the central Atlantic and develop into a tropical depression, or indeed a storm, or maybe even higher than that, we'll see. This is the CMC model then. You can see the two systems forming fairly aggressively for 92L into quite a major hurricane before making landfall on the Mexican Texas coast, and then the next storm 93L moving out to sea, possibly affecting the Lesser Antilles, and another storm moving out from the African coastline, and also a storm in the Pacific as well. So it's all going on with that one. The ECMWF model has one or two storms forming in the Eastern Pacific, but not too much development in the Atlantic. Does have that 93L moving towards the west-northwest before dissipating somewhere in the central Atlantic. No mention of 92L. The GFS model has 92L remaining a weak system as it moves through the Gulf of Mexico and eventually making landfall by the looks of things in Louisiana, and also 93L having a bit more luck, becoming a tropical storm and then dissipating near the Lesser Antilles, and another system behind that as well forming into a tropical storm near the Cape Verde Islands. The NavGen model is fairly similar as well, I believe, having that storm moving through the Gulf of Mexico as a weak system, moving into the Florida Panhandle region, and 93L not developing, but another system behind that as well as an African wave moving out to sea. The GFDL model for 93L, it doesn't develop 92L, but it does develop 93L into a minimal tropical storm as it moves west-northwestward out to sea. The HWRF model is a bit more aggressive, developing the storm 92L into a Category 1 hurricane before making landfall. I believe that was Louisiana, around the New Orleans area as a matter of fact, as a Category 1 hurricane. This is the 5-day intensity comparisons for 92L. You can see most models predict it to become a tropical storm sometime in its lifetime. The HWRF indeed predicts it to a hurricane, as you've just seen on that animated model. And this is the tracking map where both the systems are expected to go, HWRF and GFS on this map. You see how the HWRF takes it just east of New Orleans in Louisiana, and GFS takes it more towards Texas, maybe on the border of Louisiana. And this is the shear comparisons as well. You can see shear remaining low over the next few days, but rising quite steeply towards the 3 or 4 day period. And the sea surface temperatures are certainly warm enough for any development, 29 degrees, maybe even up to 30 degrees as it moves into the western Gulf of Mexico. Certainly very warm waters in this area in particular at this time. And the relative humidity remaining high for this time, but reducing as time goes on to around 3 or 4 days, reducing to below 50%, which makes it unfavourable for any further development that may occur. The CMC model for the Western Pacific, then you can see at the moment Utor remaining around China, but then that new typhoon forming near the Japanese islands, possibly making landfall on Okinawa according to the CMC model, and another system forming towards the east as well, to the east rather, and another system further east, so 2 storms there along with the other one. It's quite hard to keep up sometimes. The GFS model has that next typhoon forming as well, moving through the Japanese islands and then having it stalling between Japan and China and then moving through the channel in between Japan and South Korea as possibly a typhoon turning post-tropical. So certainly very interesting goings on there. The predicted season scores remain unchanged for August the 15th. MH Raphael remains in first place with 61 points, William in second with 61 as well, and BFDIA Submission 2 in third place with 57 points at the moment. You can submit your own storm totals at the website force13.com/interactive. Just click the 2013 predicted season button and you should find it fairly easy enough, and then you can submit your own totals for whatever you think may happen for the rest of this season. Scores are going down. The potential score that you could have by the end of the year is going down as time goes on, because accuracy does indeed decrease as we get towards the end of the year. So what happened on this day on August the 15th then? Camille made landfall in Cuba as a Category 3 hurricane, resulting in 5 fatalities. In 1970, Tropical Storm 4 formed near the Bahamas. In 1974, Tropical Storm Alma made landfall in Venezuela, killing 51 people there. And in 1981, Tropical Storm Dennis regenerated near Cuba and made landfall there. In 1983, Tropical Storm Alicia formed in the Gulf of Mexico. In 1984, Tropical Storm Julio formed in the Eastern Pacific. That one's pictured there. In 1985, Tropical Storm Claudette moved over the Azores before turning post-tropical. And Danny made landfall in Louisiana as a Category 1 hurricane, resulting in 5 fatalities and $100 million in damages. Could be a fairly similar scenario playing out if 92L has its way. In 1986, Tropical Storm Charlie formed in the Western Atlantic. In 1989, Tropical Storm Henriette formed in the Eastern Pacific. That one's pictured there. In 1993, Tropical Storm Greg formed in the Eastern Pacific as well. And in 2000, Tropical Storm Wien formed on the international dateline before moving into the Western Pacific as a tropical storm in 2000. You can see pictured there Greg at its peak intensity in 1993. In 2000, Tropical Storm Beryl made landfall in Mexico with 1 fatality and $27,000 in damages. In 2004, Rananim made landfall in China as a Category 1 typhoon. That one's pictured. Earl passed through the Windward Islands, resulting in 20 fatalities that year as well. In 2007, Tropical Storm Erin formed in the Gulf of Mexico. And in 2008, Tropical Storm Faye formed near the Dominican Republic, resulting in 14 fatalities across Hispaniola. And don't forget, you can track any storm that forms, or indeed ones that are active, at the website force13.com/stormtracking.html. That's the main page for the storm tracking information between videos. You can check it out. It's updated more often than these videos come out. So do check it out. You can see the overview map. That takes you to the overview map, the link there, where you can see where the storms are, including invests, with the tables at the top and bottom showing their intensities and indeed any warnings that are currently in effect. I try to keep it up to date as I can. Sometimes it isn't always up to date, but it is usually, and is probably the best place between videos to check it out. And you can go more in depth as well by basin to see where the storms are, where they're headed, and any warnings in more detail. And you can also visit the social pages as well, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Just search Force13 on any of those and you should find us fairly easily enough. And please do show your support by liking, commenting, subscribing, favouriting, or anything else that you may think of on any of those mediums if you wish. I do very much appreciate anything that you do say, especially if it's positive, but I don't mind constructive criticism if indeed it is that constructive. But that's the social engagement opportunities if you wish. 102 days until Hurricane Week 2013, which is Force 13's feature that we run every year. It's the second time we're doing this, and we're looking for your contribution as well. So if you feel like you've got any, if you have any content that you'd like to share for this feature, it's education mixed in with entertainment, I believe, over the course of 6 days at the end of November. Just visit the Hurricane Week 2013 page for more information. And you can also visit the forum as well, the discussion forum on the website. It's a few weeks old now, but it's still going just fine. And you can get involved in the discussion as well if you wish by going onto the forum. That's accessible from the homepage. The next bulletin was coming up at around midnight UTC, early morning on Friday, the 16th of August 2013. But until then, that's all for now.